guys, it's Webby. Welcome back to another video. I've started to do a new series. I'm going to do a hot hatch series. When I grew up starting to drive, I had hot hatches myself, my friends had them as well. And it seems to be there's more and more of them out on the road nowadays. Whether it's because here in Australia the V8s are disappearing, so people are going over to hot hatches, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I thought I'd do a bit of a series with that. I actually had a friend of mine, Trevor, get in contact with me a couple of weeks ago actually and said, would I like to make a video with this Honda Civic Type R? I thought, well, I've actually never driven one of these cars, so I thought, yeah, why not? So here today we're at the RACV Country Club in Hillsville, which is a really nice location. So we're going to make a video of his car. Trevor's going to show me a bit around the car, what he's done to it since he's had it, and why he chose a Civic Type R over any of the other hot hatches on the market. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is Trevor. Trevor's the owner of the black Civic Type R that we're going to be having a look at today. Trevor and I actually met on a charity drive day with Drive Against Depression about a year or so ago, I think it was.
Yeah, it's quite a while ago actually. Yeah.
And we've been on a couple of drives together since, chatting about cars like you do, and found out we've got a bit of a love for hot hatches. So yeah, we're going to have a look at Trevor's Civic Type R today, and yeah, find out what made him buy this particular car.
Cool.
So Trevor, can you tell us a bit about your car, maybe how long you've had it, what made you buy a Civic Type R?
Sounds good. So I actually I've had this car for about 2 years now. I upgraded from a Toyota 86. So as you can imagine, those cars are really good to kind of learn how to drive on the track, especially. Really fun to drive on the streets and whatnot, but not very practical. Yes. So trying to fit stuff into the boot or fit people, especially when it's very low to the ground, it's not the most friendly of cars. So I just started test driving a bunch of cars actually, and I test drove the i30N, I test drove the Golf R, I did a Camry Hybrid as well, because I was kind
Camry Hybrid?
Yes, there's a story behind that actually. So I was thinking of going down the route of making the 86 a dedicated track car, and I just get like a hybrid or a hatch or something like that just for a bit of a daily. So I was like, Camry Hybrid, must be good. Uber drivers use it, good on fuel. Why not test it out and see how it was? I remember getting into it and just being like, is this even on? Because it's so strange driving hybrids.
You would have felt like an Uber driver, surely.
I know, right? Honestly, it was different, but yeah.
I don't expect you to say that.
No, it was definitely good.
To replace your 86 with a Camry Hybrid was fairly low on the list.
Yes, yeah, sometimes.
That's quite funny.
It was definitely a bit of a change of pace, let's put it that way. But yeah, I ended up test driving the Hyundai R30N first, just down at Essendon Hyundai, and I wasn't really sure what to expect when I first got into it, and when I went for the test drive I realised, like, this is actually a pretty good attempt for Hyundai's first hot hatch, especially in N mode, like the exhaust crackles and all that kind of stuff. It was just insane.
Well, it did get the guy from BMW, didn't they? The guy who done all that.
Yeah, the head engineer. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, so I test drove that, and I was, at that point in time, I hadn't test drove anything else, and it was a pretty good proposition.
Yep.
I did a bit of inquiring in the background to see how long it would actually take to get an i30N to Australia, and at that point in time, it was about a 4-month wait period.
Okay.
So that's kind of what tipped me off the i30N.
Yeah.
So I had
Was that when they first just came out?
Yeah, roughly when they first came out. I remember, I think the only one available for test drive was the one that the actual owner of the dealership had.
Okay.
So we stayed back one day and let me test drive it, which is really nice of them.
Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then the next day I test drove the Golf R.
Okay, yep.
So the Golf R was a pretty interesting drive in the sense it was very split personality, especially with the modes and whatnot.
Yeah, okay.
But I felt very disengaged not having a manual. And I didn't really realise that I wanted a manual until that point in time where I was like, hey, this is fun, but at the same time it's not as engaging as my 86.
Yep.
So I kept going back to comparing it to my 86 and how engaging it was to drive. Yep. So I think I was after that same level of engagement, if not more potentially. Okay. But then having the additional practicality of a hot hatch as well, that was kind of the requirement.
So your 86 was a manual as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it was always like you was going to lean towards having a manual gearbox rather than an automatic.
Yeah, which I kind of went into this buying decision not really realising that until I test drove a DSG. Okay. You kind of realise like, oh, it's not the same. Like, sure, it's quick. Yeah. It's good fun. The pops when it shifts up and down. It's something you probably get a bit of enjoyment out of. I did. Yeah. but it's not as engaging. Especially on the track, I don't think I would have had as much fun.
Yeah, I don't think the Golf is really... The Golf is a very capable, good all-rounder. But for an actual track car, I think that's when it then sort of loses out to sort of some of the real sort of hardcore stuff, like your Civic.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fair point. That's fair point.
And then I think a week later, I was contemplating, Golf R 30N. I ended up booking a test drive with the Civic Type R at Essendon Honda, and I remember as soon as I got out onto, I think it was Calder Freeway, it was in R mode, and I just put the foot down. And, you just got the turbo surge. It was much more raw than a actual Golf R. It was a lot more visceral. So I was like, hey, this is actually pretty good fun. Then when you're switching down gears and it has auto rev matching as well, things like that, it actually felt like an event to get into this car. The seats, the steering wheel, everything felt a little bit more engaging to drive than the Golf R. And then it was, I'd say, just that little bit of step up over my 86 as well, in terms of power delivery, driving feel dynamics and all that. And that's kind of what sold me. As soon as I got into this and test drove it, I knew that was it. Yeah.
So did you then go and drive anything else after this, or did you stop once you drove this?
I did actually book a test drive to do a Mustang, but I never actually got through and drove one. That was kind of always on the list. During that period, I was tossing up if I wanted to do a Megane RS as well, potentially, but never really got around to doing it.
Because they do say, when you look at sort of different levels of hot hatches, there's like your everyday stuff like your Golfs, but then if you really want like a driver's car, then you'd look at a Civic or a Megane RS, because they are proper hot hatches in terms of what they always used to be. I did wonder whether you would have considered one of those, but...
Like in hindsight, I probably should have test drove potentially a Focus RS as well, just to see how different it was, but as soon as I got and test drove this, I think it kind of sealed the deal for me. Yeah, definitely. So my first car was actually a Honda Prelude, and it was good to kind of get back into a car that had that. It's not the same sort of sensation of VTEC, but it still has some characteristics like it. So I guess you'll find out when you go for your test drive.
Right. So if you can, just give us a bit of a tour around your car.
Yep, sounds good.
Show us what you've done to it since you've had it.
All right. So we'll start off with the front of the car. So the very first thing you'll probably notice is I've actually got these hood vents. So these have actually come from the States. They're from a company called Track Spec Motorsports. The reason why I've actually got them is because I take my car quite heavily on the track. One of the things that people know straight away when taking this particular brand of Civic Type R out on the track is it's very prone to overheating. Especially after consecutive hot laps. So this puts a vent directly above the turbo. I ended up getting a couple of laps extra out at Winton the last time I ran these on a pretty particular hot day. So definitely made paid for their worth in that sense.
So you could tell the difference by having the vent and not having the vent?
Yeah, definitely. Especially over consecutive hot laps. So, generally when you do a track day, they don't recommend you to run back-to-back hot laps in a sense, because you always give your car a bit of a chance to cool down, you let the brakes cool down, etc.
Especially turbocharged cars as well.
Yeah, exactly. Coming from an 86, I never really had any issues with overheating and whatnot. So as soon as I jumped into this, I kind of just sussed it out a bit, took it to the track stock, realised that this was an issue, just at Winton in particular. And then that's kind of where I made the purchase decision to get this as well. Underneath the hood, I'll pop that actually, and I'll show you guys what I've got there.
Did you fit the vent yourself?
No, I don't think I'd ever take that risk. There was a company that RevZone recommended to me called, I think it's Promax Auto Shine or something like that, and they did a really good job.
I think that would be a brave decision to start chopping the bonnet.
Yeah, considering I don't do much myself mechanically, I'd let RevZone take care of most of it. It would have been a bit of a risky move to do it myself.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll be doing the same, I think, for my car too.
Definitely. So the first thing you probably can notice is I've changed out the intake for an AFE Taccato system. This came from a recommendation of RevZone as well. It really enhances the turbo noise, definitely. And then I've also got a USR, which is United Speed Racing turbo blanket. So there's a lot of heat management going on around here.
I was about to say, what does that do?
Yeah, so it keeps the heat on the turbo itself, so it spools up a fair amount quicker. So you can actually tell that straight away when you sort of swapped it in. Well, for me, it's quite obvious. And it also keeps the heat sort of isolated into that specific area as well. So I've got a downpipe from, I believe, NVIDIA or HKS, one of those two. So it doesn't have a cat in it, so it's a bit smelly, but for track days and whatnot, the performance gains, it's definitely worth it.
That's the important bit.
Correct, yeah. So I've got a HKS oil cooler just behind here. So as you can see, I've actually taken out the fog lights to run a bit of additional cooling through there.
Okay, yeah.
And then I've decided to do the same thing on this side to hopefully keep it a bit symmetrical.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So you've actually done some proper sort of mechanical mods, not just doing an ECU tune and that.
Correct, yeah. So I came with the approach of, as soon as I took it out and track, I realised there were certain things that I'd like to change to keep it just sustainable.
Yep.
And make sure the engine lasts a long time. So that means keeping temps down, swapping out things like brake pads, fluids, just to make sure that you don't end up in a situation where you go to brake at the end of a main straight and you don't have any brakes left.
That's always important.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've upgraded the brakes as well, have you?
Yes, so I've swapped out to endless pads. I'm about to probably get a set of two-piece rotors at some point, just to make, the maintenance items of potentially changing those every couple of years a little bit less expensive. Yeah, okay. So the other thing I've done at the front is I've swapped it out to a PWR intercooler, which I've sprayed in black, which makes it a little bit more stealthy.
So you can just see it kind of hiding.
Just behind there.
Yeah, because often you can see them like they're really obvious if you put an aftermarket intercooler on.
Correct, yeah.
It becomes sort of quite obvious. So is that a obviously upgraded air filter as well?
Yeah, it's quite good. So once you have a drive, I think you'll be able to tell. It's got a really nice turbo noise to it now.
So I was looking up the stats on it, so 228 kilowatts is obviously a standard car.
Correct.
Do you know what yours is running now?
No, that's the one thing I probably should ask RevZone actually, but
it'd be interesting to put it on a dyno, I reckon.
Yes, definitely.
See what she's pushing out.
Definitely need to do that at some point. But for me, it was always around, the main thing for me was reliability.
Yeah.
There was never really a chase for power for me. It's just, as long as it does what it needs to every day at the track and I don't have any issues with it, then it's doing its job.
Yeah. So if you're going to modify your car but use it as a daily plus track use, you still want that reliability.
Correct.
And not worry about, is it going to break down every time I drive it?
Yeah.
So that's probably a sensible approach, actually.
There's one subtle mod here as well, which I don't think many people would realise, is actually, if anyone's got a Civic Type R, you can actually take out this guiding pin here.
Okay,
and get additional negative camber. So for those folks at home that've got a Type R, give it a shot, especially if you take it out to the track. Cheap mod, but camber's always good, especially negative camber.
Okay, so that's a specific thing if you're going to use it on track a lot, or?
Yeah, okay. Or even if you want to run a bit more negative camber on the street, just to get a bit more handling feel from your front end, then by all means it's cheap. You can do it yourself probably from the garage, and then happy days. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So we'll move down to here. So I'm running just a different set of tyres at the moment. I've actually got a second set of wheels at home with Advan AO50 semi-slicks that I swap out when I'm at the track.
Okay,
And then, so I've got the standard pads in here at the moment, but I generally run endless when I'm at the track. They're called MX72 Pluses. And then I've got a hard race negative camber kit underneath there as well. So I'm running about -4 degrees camber, which is quite a lot for the street, but when you're on a racetrack, it makes things a lot easier, especially turn in.
Messed about, have you?
No, I've gone pretty much full send, let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly right, jeez.
Yeah.
How long do your tyres normally last, Joe? Someone's bound to ask that.
Yeah, that's very true. I had a set of Michelin Sport Cup 2s beforehand, and they lasted about 6 months, but I was dailying them and also taking them to the track as well.
Okay, because they're a very sort of track-focused tyre, aren't they?
Correct,
as opposed to the Pilot Sport 4s you've got now, which are more a bit of everything, I suppose, aren't they?
Yeah, these are definitely, I'd say, a bit better in the rain compared to the Cup 2s, from what I've noticed.
Yes, I've heard that.
But I haven't, I think the main thing when you have a track tyre or a track/street hybrid is the heat cycling. So every time you take it out of track, you get it really hot, and then you take it off to the road, and you keep doing that over and over. Eventually, you just end up chewing through the tyre life, and the compound itself gets very hard. So it's one piece of advice if people playing at home who are planning to take their car on the track. You can obviously run dual-purpose tyres, but if you've got the money, I'd definitely recommend a second wheels and a dedicated track tyre. It makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, and I suppose you'd also get more enjoyment on your track there as well.
Correct, yeah.
A proper track day tyre rather than just a good road tyre.
Yeah, correct.
Cool. That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, so underneath here, I'm running a set of white line lowering springs. So it sits about, I think, 2 centimetres lower than standard. Yeah. Which is just a little aesthetic things, but it also does help the handling quite a fair bit.
Yeah. So it's just sometimes when people lower them, it just gives you a good stance. Which suppose, yeah, when you got a car that looks like this anyway, it kind of
just enhances it really.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
No, it looks good.
Cool.
Cool.
And then
So, coming around the side, then what else have we got?
coming around the side, there's not really much aftermarket. Each of the Honda Civic Type R's has got a little camera here for your blind spot, which is quite handy. I haven't seen many people, other companies do that. It might be becoming a thing in the future, I'd say, to be honest.
Cool.
If you come through here, you can actually see that as part of the HKS kit, they drill out the wheel weld there just to get a bit of airflow through the oil cooler, so it actually flows through directly into the wheel well itself.
Talking about here?
Yeah, even just here. Yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah. So there's more air through to the
Yeah.
to the brakes, or?
There's traditionally cooling to the brakes itself from the front, so it's just under this section here.
Okay, yep.
But as part of the HKS kit for the oil cooler, they actually drill out here so the flow actually goes all the way through into the wheel well itself.
Ah, okay.
Instead of just going into the, how would you call it, fender liner itself and just sitting there.
Yep.
So it doesn't get much cooling.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
That's all to obviously help on the track and keeping everything cool. And
Yes, which is the name of the game when you have a Civic Type R, unfortunately.
Yeah. When you drive them hard.
Yes, exactly, when you drive them hard.
Which is what it's known for.
Yeah.
Some spotting also. Has this got like a body kit on it as well, or?
No, this is standard. The little skirts down here are all standard.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So it definitely does add a bit of flair to the car.
Yeah. No, when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, it's sort of I don't know, sort of carbon fibre look, I suppose. Yeah, and it kind of looked like it was aftermarket, but yeah, well done Honda for putting something on there that kind of looks, a bit more aggressive, I suppose.
Yeah, it definitely does fit the needs or suit the characters of the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So even ties it in nicely with the stock rims as well. The little red pinstripe around the sides.
Oh, that was standard too, was it? Ah, okay.
So it ties it all in nicely.
Yeah, they've put a lot of styling cues on there that you'd normally expect people to have done kind of aftermarket, don't you?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you see people put body kits and different wheels and rim protectors and stuff, so it's quite cool.
Yeah.
Means you haven't got to spend the money yourself too.
Definitely.
Which is quite nice.
So small things here as well. Is a bit of a fan of anime, so I've got a couple of stickers around the car. But, and then I've also got paint protection film just around like high impact areas.
Yep.
So it's small things like that make owning a car
Yeah.
a lot easier. So I would have even done this on a daily, to be honest.
Especially on a black car too.
Yes.
Because I haven't had black cars myself in the past. It's the maintenance is always an issue.
Yeah, definitely. So there's not much else really besides.
And then the back at all, or?
Not really. I've still got the standard exhaust, which is
Is that something you plan to change in the future, or?
yeah. I'll plan to probably change it at some point when I've, I guess, got my own place and whatnot. I think, and then also potentially have a daily.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's I've had my 86 had a Tomei exhaust, a titanium one, and it was really good in the sense of driving enjoyment. And as soon as you live in an environment where there's neighbours and all that to think about, especially cold starts,
You'd be very unpopular with your neighbours, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in a townhouse situation at the moment, so ideally I don't want to make too many enemies.
No, definitely not. But even looking at the standard styling of this car, it does almost look like it's got a body kit on it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
The three exhaust pipes, the massive great wing on the back, even this sort of section here, sort of part, it almost looks like it's aftermarket.
Yeah.
And the little, I actually remember these from the Mitsubishi Evos. Do you remember those?
Yes.
The older ones?
Yeah, they always had vortex generators, which is really cool. They've taken, I think, a lot of styling from Evos in the sense that, like, even these flarings reminds me of an Evo 6.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think it's very kind of the Japanese way of doing things. They're a little bit kind of out there and over the top, and where a lot of other manufacturers sort of play it safe and sort of try to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
Where the Japanese is like, nope, we're going to go full send and make it stand out from the crowd a little bit. So that's a bit of a walk around Trevor's car, having a look at some of the modifications and talking about the spec of the car. So now I think we're going to go for a drive and see how this thing handles and goes, shall we?
Yes, should be good and fun.
I'm looking forward to this because, like I say, I've never driven a Civic Type R. I've driven quite a few hot hatches in my time. But yeah, never one of these, so it'd be quite interesting to see how it compares to other cars I've driven, and also get back in a manual gearbox as well, because these days so many cars, because of all these new sort of regulation systems and emissions, they're all going automatic, so it's actually going to be quite a nice experience in manual car again.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, something I haven't really done for a long time, so that'll be quite cool.
It's one of life's simple pleasures. Let's put it that way.
Proper driving car. Driving car. So yeah, we'll see you on the inside, and yeah, we'll take this thing for a drive. So here we are inside inside Trevor's Civic Type R. The first thing you notice, the seats are mega comfortable. They really like hug you in, don't they?
Yes, it's like honestly one of the best feelings.
Yeah.
A good seat can make and break a car, and I definitely think I chose the right ones with this.
Particularly if you're doing lots of track stuff, they would be amazing for on the track.
Yes, definitely. They definitely keep you in your seat, especially hygienic corners and whatnot.
But they don't feel like, sometimes you get in seats like this and they're too restrictive, yeah. Whereas these feel like just the right amount of like holding you in, but not too much.
Definitely.
These are really comfortable. Feels like taking my driving test again. Having not driven a manual car for quite a long time.
Yeah, all good. Take your time.
The clutch wasn't overly heavy though.
No, it's it's pretty light, to be honest.
I guess in stock standard form, before you modify these things, it's still got to be a daily car, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. I think they always come at it with the angle of, it's made for the road first.
Yeah, it's got to be, because obviously 99% of the time that's where it's going to be.
It's going to be, correct, yeah.
You got any troubles with speed humps or not too much?
Not too much. It really does depend on the speed hump itself. Some of them that are quite high, you just kind of got to go over an angle.
Yes. Yeah.
Coming from a very low car, you kind of get used to that.
I was going to say you've had that experience before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you know the road around here at all?
Nope. So we're going to go for a bit of an adventure.
You know, coming down here, there were so many roads that were like 60, and it's like, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it picks up pretty quick.
It does, yeah. In our mode, the throttle pickup is quite good.
Yeah, it's like you only touch the throttle a little bit, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're off then.
Yep.
So do the different modes change, like suspension stiffness and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, okay.
So for example, if we chucked it into comfort now,
Yep.
you'd tell the throttle down. It's like pretty much goes into a very normal state. And straight away you can tell the steering's so much lighter and stuff.
Even the accelerator, you can feel it really sort of back off.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it took off 2/3 of your throttle input. But yeah, suspension is definitely a bit softer.
Yes.
So on the track, you obviously put it in the R mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck it in R, then I do turn traction control off, because I find it does sort of limit you, especially with a front-wheel drive car coming out of corners.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a bit careful with that, but it's always good fun when you get on that track.
Definitely. So what track have you done so far?
So I've done a couple at Winton. That's sort of, I'd say, my home track in a way.
Yep.
I've done 2 at Phillip Island, which is great fun.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't been there for a while. I've yet to do Sandown. That's definitely on the list.
Yeah, okay.
But at some point I'd love to go to Sydney and do Wakefield, do Sydney Motorsport Park.
Yeah, okay.
South Australia, do the Bend. That's kind of like a bucket list thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get a lot of looks in this car.
I don't think too much. Maybe because of the paint colour, to be honest. Black is very subdued, so people don't really know what it is. But I'd say, like when I was in my mate's red one, yes, you do.
Yeah. If you got, like you said earlier, the white one or something like that, it would really sort of stick out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus. Yeah.
And that's,
That goes alright.
it does indeed. And that's exactly what sold me on getting a Type R.
And that was just leaving it in 4th gear and just letting the boost build up on the turbo.
Yeah. So Honda have really done something well, putting a turbo and a VTEC engine together. You get some pretty amazing performance from that.
It's quite addictive, man.
Yes. Get you in a lot of trouble quickly, let's put it that way.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
It just pulls so strongly. Very linear as well, which I was kind of shocked to find.
Yeah, there's no real bad turbo lag, is there? the little, is that the blower valve or something?
It's just literally the intake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as soon as you sort of let off and the boost sort of sucks through the turbo and whatnot,
Yep.
yeah, you just always get that lovely turbo sound. Yeah, they've done really good for electric steering.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it's electric at all, would you?
No.
It feels really almost unelectric. That's actually a word. Hydraulic.
Hydraulic, that's the one. Old school.
That's what I meant, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It really wakes up at the top end.
It does. Is that kind of like going back to that old VTEC?
Yes. Yeah, that's why I was like really shocked to take it on test drive and find I was like, alright, cool. The mid-range is really strong. And then the person who was with me, the salesman, was like, you know what? Just get it to red line. And then as soon as you get to that last about 1000 RPM,
Yep.
you get that old school VTEC sharp as well.
Really?
Which is, yeah, I was not expecting.
I always remember that when we was talking at the beginning about the first gen, like the square shaped ones. Those are well known for like coming on power really high up.
Yeah.
But the fact that you could rev them, that's what it was designed for. But yeah, you'd think sort of as they got newer and turbocharged, they'd kind of lose that
Flavour on the edge.
Yeah. Or even the need to do it. But I guess that's what makes it a Civic Type R, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's sort of been known for. Yeah, it's kept kind of true to its roots, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the Type R as well. It's like stock they come with 20-inch wheels and tyres.
Really?
So when I switched to 18s and I was dealing that for a while, it was, I'd say you'd lose a bit of steering feel initial turn in, but in terms of ride comfort and whatnot, it did make up for it.
I was going to say massively uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So then, what's it got on it now?
It's still got it's factory 20 inches on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite big for a standard wheel, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because often that's sort of like you got to pay extra for that.
definitely.
This is fun.
Yeah, handles changes of direction really well. It feels quite nimble.
Yeah, you could go. Yeah, you just chuck it into the corner and
Then you could, yeah.
it does exactly what you expect it to do. Like a lot of cars are, you turn the wheel and you can't necessarily feel what the wheel's doing, but this you can.
Yeah.
Whether that's because you've played about with the camera.
I think it definitely does help, but it's kind of just enhancing the natural characteristics of the car itself.
Yeah.
Just taking the good points and strengthening them further.
You always get dizzy around these roads.
Yeah.
The corners come up quick, don't they?
They do.
So that is the drive of the Honda Civic Type R. How fantastic was that? Really, really surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be that good. I'd heard lots of really good things about these cars, but like anything, until you actually go out and drive it yourself and experience it, you just get a whole different perception of what they're like.
Yep.
So yeah, I was really super impressed. So thank you very much. I really
No worries.
do appreciate you taking the time to come down and show me your car. Obviously letting me have a drive as well. That was absolutely fantastic.
No worries.
So that's the end of the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, obviously give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to find out when the next video goes up. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much to Trevor. We can't shake hands, obviously, because of coronavirus, so we'll do the elbow thing.
That works.
We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.